Look, don't be that intern that thinks, okay, if I don't get this full-time offer, I'm finished. There are still incredible things you can do with your internship, and I want to go through a few ways that you can exit in the best possible way. Now think about this. If you don't get a return offer, which obviously we want for you, but if you don't get a return offer, you can still build an incredibly powerful network of tens, maybe hundreds of professionals who are in the area that you want to work in your future. And secondly, they can refer you to other roles. So if you don't get that full-time internship, but one of their colleagues at a different bank or a hedge fund asks them, hey, do you know anyone who's good at financial analysis? They'll be like, oh yeah, we actually know someone who was an amazing intern for us. And finally, what about later on? Let's say one of their analyst hires just doesn't pan out. They'll be like, oh, that intern that we almost made the offer to, let's go and make that offer. And I've seen that happen multiple times. So what's the smoothest way you can exit your internship? So there are really 5 things you can do to make your exit the best possible. The first one is make sure that before you leave, you got FaceTime with all of the senior managers, both on your desk, the one that you're directly related to, and the desks that are kind of related to you, but not exactly your desk. So for example, if you're working in risk reporting, then I would go to all the risk teams that you report for as well, and make sure you get FaceTime with those managers. Now, even if throughout your internship you did, the final week, try to get 10 minutes. Just give your goodbyes, say it in person, and thank them for everything they've done for you. Secondly, get everyone's email. You don't really need the more junior people's, but it doesn't hurt. And you'll get it with one of the steps later on, but make sure that you leave with their email. And the reason is, while you're on the internship, you feel like, oh, these people are so close to me, I could just go over and have a conversation. Yeah, but once you walk out those doors and your ID card doesn't work anymore, you're back to cold messaging people. Wouldn't it be amazing if you had 50, 60 personal or work emails of people who will open them because they recognize your name? So make sure you get those emails and they're not stuck on your work computer, whether you have them on your phone, a notepad. Obviously, I don't recommend the handwritten note, but have it somewhere outside of the work machine so that you can contact them later on. Third, leave on good terms with the other interns. Now, that might really not seem necessary because they're not going to give you an offer, a referral, or any of these things, but there are a couple of reasons for this. I won't go too much into detail, but think of it this way. First of all, those interns in just a few years are going to be vice presidents at other firms. And there are quite a few of them, and that impact really lasts. I've seen something happen where somebody treated another intern poorly. A few years later, that intern was actually a VP at another bank and prevented a hire. So don't be that person. And of course, it never hurts to have allies. And if you're kind and friendly to all the interns, they're going to go to bat for you the same way you would for them. A fourth tip is make sure you understand the technical aspects of what the desk does. So let's say you're on, again, going back to the risk reporting team, and your job was to literally do a certain task in PowerPoint. Pretty boring, not very broad. But you have to understand exactly what the risk reporting team does as a whole and what the individual members do. And the reason is because ultimately you're not getting the offer from here. What if another firm wants to hire an analyst and they say, oh, so you have experience with risk reporting. Now, if your experience is very narrow and you're like, oh, yeah, I've done this in PowerPoint, not cool. But if you say, oh, absolutely, I'm very familiar with the whole process. We do this, we do this, we do this. Say we, talk about your experience and what you understand the whole desk does. And you could be in a pricing team and you should understand how to price all the derivatives. You could be in a sales and trading team. And even if it wasn't you, you have to understand the execution process and how you balance the entire portfolio. So you have to be comfortable with all of the minute technical tasks and details from a finance perspective that your desk did, and not just you. And finally, probably the most important thing on the list, send a personal goodbye email to every single person that you've interacted with. I don't care if they're an analyst. I don't care if they're a senior managing director. Personal, not just my dear whatever colleagues, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to say goodbye and thank you. No. In fact, I would try to pinpoint a specific thing that they help you with. If it was a vice president who gave you advice on how to approach your manager, say the advice you gave me to how to approach my manager was amazing and really gave me the confidence. Make it personal, because then they feel emotionally connected to you. And when you do send that cold email in a month or two, whether it's asking for a referral or even for a job because you hear there's an opening, they'll be like, oh yeah, they'll type your name in, they'll see that email, and they'll get all those warm feelings again. You want to maintain an awesome personal relationship with absolutely everyone on the desk. This actually takes a lot of time. It might take hours and hours, and if you can't find the time to do it during work, do it after. I don't care, but put the time in, because those think about it this way. People who aren't as lucky as you, they aren't as fortunate, they didn't get this amazing internship, they're spending hours and hours sending cold emails to random strangers hoping they get a response. Here you have 50, 60 people, professionals working at an amazing firm that you can send an email to that you absolutely know they will read and it will touch them emotionally. Like, why would you pass on that opportunity? So make sure you do it. Now, did you have any of these planned before watching this video, or are these all new to you? And if not, so this is all new to you, which one of these 5 things excites you the most? And are you most excited to put into action? I'm really excited to hear from you. Please put it down in the comments below, and I'll see you next week.